HYROX is projected to draw more than 1.3 million participants over 100 events in the coming year. Now, this is a stark increase to just 74 events and more than 650,000 participants last year. Consumer demand? Well, it's exploded, with ClassPass reporting HYROX class searches are up 506% and reservations up 432% year on year. HYROX 365, well, it reached 5,000 training clubs worldwide, with affiliations growing 260% annually, and 2,300 plus new club affiliates were added in 2024. Today we talk with Andrew Sugerman, the CEO of Centre, who supply all of the equipment to HYROX clubs and competitions around the world, and he's going to give us a sneak peek at what really happens with HYROX, but why you should have it in your club.
Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast with your host, Justin Tamzett. With over 30 years in the fitness industry, JT is a globally recognised authority with a mission to lower healthcare costs worldwide by getting more people moving and moving more often in quality facilities with qualified professionals. Every episode, JT digs deep with our guests to bring you insights that will help you lead, innovate, and boost your bottom line. So let's dive in. Take it away, JT.
Welcome to episode 1 of season 6, and you are in for an unbelievable season. We're going to dive into several industry reports this season, the Les Mills Global Report and the ClassPass Global Report. Both we are going to analyse. Plus, of course, you're going to hear from club owners and managers who are in the trenches, just like you, with suggestions on how to strengthen your business. And we will again host 3 live events over the season. These are free to use, so you just need to go to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com/online events and you'll be able to see when they're on. It's going to be a ripper season, so do not miss an episode.
If you want more than just the weekly episode, check out FBP Insiders. You'll get early access to every episode, practical monthly webinars, and exclusive member benefits. Start with a 7-day free trial, then it's just $5 a month. Head to the link in the show notes and join today.
Thanks, Zoe, and you're going to see more and hear more from Zoe this season. She's going to drop into a few more episodes, and she is our new social media manager. So please follow us on Insta, Facey, or LinkedIn and give us some love. She's going to get bonus based on your engagement. So the more you engage, the more it's going to cost me. No, seriously, the more she's going to love you. Now, season 7 is 16 weeks away. I know, seems like an eternity, but I got to get planning. And I want season 7 to be designed by you for you. So in the show notes and across our socials all this season, there's going to be a link for you to jump on and tell me who you want us to interview, an old guest, a new guest, and or what topic you would love. So don't be shy. Get to the show notes on your podcast platform and there's a link. I want to make season 7 designed by you for you. Now, a quick reminder to our FBP insiders. There's plenty waiting for you inside the member hub beyond just the weekly podcast dropping early. You've got practical business learning, there's exclusive resources from previous guests, and there's webinar replays that you can watch with your team. And if you're not an insider yet, well, that's what you're missing. So check it out. Just go to the show notes and click on the link. Now, you would have to be living under a rock to have not heard of HYROX. Average punters, members, fitness enthusiasts, and more are joining this global wave of competition for either winning a category or just motivating themselves and their friends to hit fitness targets. And having a ringside seat has been Andrew Sugerman, the CEO of Centre. At Centre, Andrew engineered the company's pivot from a wellness app into the official global equipment partner of HYROX. And they've actually delivered over £2 million of product to HYROX competitions worldwide. Of course, he's a HYROX competitor, he's a marathon runner, and a half Ironman finisher. So, after this short break, you're going to hear from Andrew. Now, for some people, they're probably going Centre. it's an equipment distributing company, but what do you actually do at Centre? Let's tell everybody what you supply.
We are really looking to supply the spectrum of individual athletes, consumers, all the way through to big box gyms, clubs, operators with the gear that's needed to train in today's hybrid fitness realm and reality. So everything from endurance, cardio, all the way through to strength training, and increasingly where those two intersect. And then on the digital side, providing the coaching, programming, and tools that will reinforce and amplify that so that we give people insight and edge on how to perform better.
And you have an exclusive arrangement with just a small competition that's kind of going and exploding around the world at the moment. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. We have a really great relationship with our friends at a small race called HYROX that has just been an absolute joy and thrill to be a part of early in their evolution and continue to grow with them as they've continued to grow into what I view as a sport. It's no longer just a race that happens in a city. It has increasingly become a sport.
Well, the fitness industry has been talking for years and years about community. And what we're seeing with HYROX is absolutely this amazing community, but it just feels perhaps a little different from the outside looking in. And I'm an outsider looking in. People aren't just joining gyms. They're training for this race now. And how's this competition movement from what you're seeing changed how gym operators, what their offering is to members these days?
For years, probably 2 decades, the industry's always talked about building community. We're going to build community. And I think for a lot of operators, it's like, what does that mean? What does building community actually mean? And in a lot of ways, it's become a buzzword that means everything, and as a result, oftentimes means nothing. So let me try to put clarity around community through a slightly different lens. What HYROX figured out is that community has a mechanism, a common mechanism, and that mechanism is a sport. And as many people know, it doesn't matter which country, city you're from, sport brings people together like nothing else. It could be professional teams, national teams, club teams, pickup games. Sport brings people together and it gives them something to either root for together or train for together. And so when HYROX made this discovery, there are roughly 100 million people who go to the gym every day. That's a large audience. That's a large audience. And most of them never thought of themselves as athletes or as their time at the gym as sport. And HYROX has changed all of that outright. When I went to my first HYROX competition in 2022, it was clear to me that everyone there, whether they were participating or spectating, was cheering for this community of athletes in what was a definite sport. I just didn't understand it at the time because I'd never had heard of it before, but I knew that I was watching a sport unfold in front of me. And so in essence, HYROX has made every gym member an athlete with a sport to train for, race calendar to aim for, and a global ranking to measure themselves against. And it doesn't really matter if you're a pro athlete or somebody that's just getting started, you can get on the exact same playing field as anyone else. And to your question, what does that mean for an operator? I view it means everything. This has completely changed the dynamic that the gym is now more than a place where people go to work out. It has suddenly become the practice field for a new sport. And that's huge. It doesn't matter whether you're training solo or with a team. The gym is now actually the practice field for an entirely new sport that is sweeping the world. So acquisition looks different. HYROX drives people to affiliated gyms to train. Retention looks different because people aren't going to the gym anymore just out of habit or as a place to work out, but as a place to hit that race date or train as a community. Revenue looks different because there's all these new programming tiers and event opportunities that didn't even exist 3 years ago. And the question I think operators should be asking is my gym set up to be the home base for the sport of fitness racing in my market? And as a result, becoming something more than a workout space, it's becoming a performance hub. And that's where we fit in. Center fits exactly into that space where we are building that ecosystem behind this shift. The equipment, the programming, the training environments that help operators serve this next generation of performance-driven members.
And I want to dive into what that HYROX training center looks like in a moment. I want to ask you this. I've got a couple of thoughts. I think HYROX as a brand and as a product and as a sport really came out of a sweet spot. CrossFit was on the nose, I think, with some people. We came out of COVID. We were all coming out of this lockdown. We wanted community. So their timing was pretty perfect, I think. And then all of a sudden, they've also added this element of measurement. And I think one of the frustrating things for those 100 million people that go to gyms around the world is there was, other than a body fat test or some other bioimpedance examination, there was no real way to actually measure that fitness. Now, all of a sudden, HYROX have brought that in. So do you think it was about timing? It's about the product and the brand, because it's a beautiful brand the way they've done it all. They've just actually nailed all three components at exactly the right time?
I would say yes to that question, in that it's not one thing, it's multiple things that all happened at the same time. I think that the desire for community on the heels of the pandemic was sort of lightning in a bottle. The brand and the focus on the brand experience when people came into these events that lifted up the community. That was, and the consistency was a second thing, right? When you go to a race in London or a race in Melbourne or a race in Singapore, you're going to experience a commonality in the brand, in the race, in the standards that transcend and carry through all markets. That, I think, was a second element. And to your point about data, meant that there's data consistency race to race to race. And so you now have the ability to focus on performance and improve that performance every step of the way. And that makes it no different than golf or skiing or tennis. It's a sport, and you go and you practice and you train and you practice and you train and you scrimmage, and then you go and you compete. HYROX is exactly the same way, but now with data, people are like, oh, I'm going to shave 10 seconds on this thing. I'm going to make my run a little bit better. I've got 16 different, essentially, stations or opportunities to improve my time, which gives it this addictive loop of, oh, there's so many ways that I think I can get better at this. And I've fallen victim to it. I competed in Phoenix. I'm competing again, actually, this week in Cologne. And I'm like, okay, I've got to get better. And I think I can do it in these places. It really is a combination of all those elements. And my hat's off to them. Having been around some of the best brands in the world, I do believe that HYROX's brand standards in creating that vibe, that sort of energy at these events is palpable. It is contagious. I've been to marathons. I've been to Ironmans. I've been to many of the largest mass participation sports in the world. And this one has a very, very unique feel and experience all the way through, from the spectators to the music to the course. The whole thing is extremely well done. And in the 3 years we've been doing this together with them, I've only seen it up level every season. So my hat is off to them and what they've already accomplished at such a young age.
So let's talk about, for the operators that are listening today, let's talk about the commercial opportunity here that is for them. I loved what you called it. The practice field for HYROX could be inside a club. Let's talk numbers. If we focus on the US for those numbers, what growth have you seen in clubs taking on the HYROX training model in a club as a training center or an affiliate?
So keep in mind, for HYROX, it was birthed out of Europe, Hamburg originally, and then rolled out pretty quickly in Europe and the United Kingdom. And then in the US, about a year or two behind Europe. And then in Australia, about a year or two behind the US. So it's sort of that cadence. And so in the US, we've seen this constant explosive growth in race sizes, race numbers, and then as a result, people training for races all over the country. So a perfect example of that is HYROX New York. HYROX New York has more than tripled each year it's operated. This year, they sold out, I believe it was around 50,000 athlete numbers in 1 hour. And to put that in context, the New York City Marathon, which is, I believe, the largest marathon in the world, it's either that or London, is, I believe, 55,000 runners. So HYROX New York is already at the size of the largest marathon in the world. And I'm pretty sure that marathons have been around for a lot longer than HYROX. And so we see this demand, this thirst. And by the way, 95% of athletes that compete, first-time athletes that compete in HYROX, are already looking to sign up for the next HYROX. So if that's 50,000 competing in New York, the day after New York, they're already looking for where's the next race? How do I compete again? It creates that compulsion loop. And then they just announced for 2026, 2027 season, all new cities. And so that footprint is expanding in America. So now we've got, I don't remember all of them, Nashville, we've got Salt Lake City, Charlotte, Denver, amongst a bunch of others. So the ability for somebody to be within a 2-hour drive of a HYROX competition is now more possible than ever before. If I'm a US operator with one location or multiple locations, that becomes really, really interesting and attractive, because I'd say for every one athlete that's actually competing, you're probably going to have somewhere between 10 and 15 athletes that are training. And that sort of pyramid is likely what a lot of operators would see. So then the question is, what's it take to create a HYROX training center? What does that entail? That's sort of where we help. And we've done it, by the way, in partnership with HYROX and a couple of other partners, and figuring out what's the best way for an operator to offer a HYROX training center and create this environment where athletes can train like they race. And that's a really important concept, because it's a sport. And in a sport, what's measured in seconds, right? Each interval is measured in seconds. The transitions, every second you can shave is something that that's going to get you to a new PR. And so taking away anything that's not happening on race day is what athletes are looking for. Like, how do I replicate what I'm going to experience there in my everyday training environment? And that's where we look to match as well as possible the feeling of HYROX with having, the official competition equipment, having environments that replicate sort of the feel of HYROX, having training programming that's been built with HYROX 365 that then, has coach certification and a number of elements that, when brought together, can recreate the community and the drive of the HYROX race inside the gym every week. And that's a pretty exciting thing. If an operator has not gone to a HYROX race, that would be my first recommendation. Even if you don't compete, just go, walk one, see what it's all about and understand it, because that's what is growing like crazy. And that's what people are looking for. And then imagine, what if I brought that into my studio, into my gym? What could that do for me? So that's sort of, I put that out to the group, being like, please go check one out. We'll help you get a spectator ticket if you want to go experience it, but you should go experience it.
For the actual physical facility, the gym, I imagine that there's two kind of scenarios. There's a gym that actually has the ability to have a dedicated HYROX training studio, which might have been a good fitness room at some stage, or an old spin room, or they've just got a space. And then there's another gym that actually doesn't have the ability to have a dedicated room, but they might have a corner. As center, do you go in with an affiliate club and go, let us help you build the best HYROX training area for your facility?
Yeah, no, exactly. So we've mapped out a number of different types of experiences that allow being a part of the sport can take many different shapes and flavors. And we know that it's not one size fits all. To your point, some gyms are like, I want to be fully dedicated to this. Others are like, hey, I have this space. It was an old basketball court or an old racquetball court, and I want to convert it, or a spin room, to, hey, I've got this area of my gym that I'd love to make into a small training zone that people can train for HYROX. We've worked with all of them. For us, it's just understanding the constraints and the desires of that operator. And then we can help figure out what's the right fit and fix to enable them to bring something special to their member base. And I think that's both to help give their existing member base something they're looking for. But I think that the equally important thing is how to help them have something that will attract and acquire new gym members that are excited about this as both a race, but also as a training approach.
What would be the smallest kind of space that somebody would need to have a HYROX training area?
See, now you're giving me like detailed questions about like fit out and layout. To be honest, I can't answer the question in that we've seen all different constraints to really train for the competition, right? It involves sled push, sled pull, wall ball. There's areas where if somebody really wants to train for the event, we try to work with them to figure out, okay, how can we put elements of all of the stations in your space, knowing what your constraints are. But we know that some places don't have as much room. So it could be that we put in a smaller turf lane where they can have the ability to practice pushing and pulling on a smaller surface. than what's necessarily the full competition length. Some places have challenges with ceiling height. So we try to work with them on what are other ways to replicate the wall ball squat so that they can still train their members. So all of that, it's sort of both footprint, but also height and width and all the things that go in between.
The key for me there is you said we work with the owner to be able to make sure it works for them. So owners that are listening, you haven't got to invent this yourself. You're going to be dealing with experts that can help you do this.
To your point, we don't expect for everyone to know exactly what they want. And we view this as a partnership to help map that out and have a solution that really fits the need and the requirement. So I view it as a collaborative endeavor.
And from a commercial perspective, your experience with owners that have already rolled this out, whether they're a big box club, whether they're regional, whether they're even a performance-based club, are they making money? Are they making money from running these training programs in their clubs?
So I would definitively, I've had the chance to talk with different operators, both of big box locations as well as dedicated facilities that train HYROX ongoing every day. And what I've heard is three things. One is member retention, that being a part of this drives an extremely sticky gym member. These are members that if it's their first race, at a minimum, they are training 12 to 16 weeks in advance of that first race. And then in most instances, as I mentioned before, they'll be signing up immediately thereafter to do another race. And so it becomes a perpetual training methodology for them that it puts them in incredible condition, right? Because this combines endurance and strength in this sort of perfect hybrid fitness approach that then is the sport and then has competition. And so we're seeing these gyms create these training centers, have meaningful lift and retention rates, and it gives the program a structured, goal-oriented reason to come back. And people come because they love the community. In fact, my son is training at a HYROX training center in New York City right now, training lab. He goes because it's an amazing facility and they're doing a great job, but he also goes because of the community and the people that are there, the like-minded drive to perform. It's like he is on a team in school and he is working out with his team and they are together going at it. The second is acquisition. This is the one that I'm not sure operators totally appreciate, but HYROX's growth is so explosive that the number of people competing fuels the number of people training. And as I said, the number of people training is a multiple of the number of people competing. That when you're listed as an official HYROX training center, you are made discoverable by HYROX for the entire community of people looking for all the places to train. So HYROX is literally feeding potential gym members into gyms in cities all over the planet. And then that unlocks interesting acquisition opportunities by hosting things like a HYROX simulation, right? Which is a sort of scrimmage so that you can practice a simulation of what a HYROX might be in your local city, right? Because most cities around the world have a HYROX once a year. And so if you're in that city and you're like, I want to try a simulation to see how I'm doing, am I getting better? They can offer that service, but also not only use it as a service for existing members, but use it as a way to pull in new members that are like, oh, I want to try a HYROX simulation. Cool. Now I know what my benchmark is. Oh, you guys offer training programs to improve on that benchmark? Yeah, I want to be a part of that. So it's an incredible acquisition tool that then unlocks additional revenue opportunities for gyms and clubs beyond just the monthly membership dues. And it doesn't matter if you're a big box commercial operator or an independent boutique, the model works at all scales. It doesn't matter. It's not one or the other. We've seen it for a 5,000 square foot studio, a 40,000 square foot box. If you have HYROX ready demand, you can build around this.
It's like HYROX have built the ultimate sales funnel at the top for gyms. That's what I see. And then someone goes and competes and goes,
yeah, it's pretty true. They've created this flywheel and the gym operator is in that flywheel. Like that flywheel was made for the gym operator to participate in the flywheel. So it's not being built outside of them. It's literally being built for them and with them. And so we're trying to be an enabler to help that be as smooth and as easy and understandable as possible for participation.
So if someone's listening today and they go, holy shit, I need to be a HYROX training center, how quickly can a club become one?
All right, give me a call. We'll figure it out. No, just kidding. Actually, quite quickly, we've worked on the process with HYROX for getting people registered into the HYROX system, for mapping out like the environment so that it matches your physical footprint, what will work, to putting in the right equipment, anything from turf installation to rigs, all of that can be done actually quite quickly. We've turned spaces in weeks to 2 months. And for people that have longer leads, we've worked with them to prepare out what a rollout plan could be over the course of a year. So it really depends on if people want to jump on this and get going, and or they have a location that's opening and they're like, we want to be a part of this. Let's get going. We can move quick. We've worked quickly. At HFA, we had a situation where somebody came in and they wanted a complete HYROX training center laid out and deployable within, I think it was 6 weeks. And we're working to get that done.
Wow, that's amazing. I do need to tell you a quick funny story. One of our Rex members in Australia, he has a whole cohort that do HYROX, and he said one of his coaches came to him and said, can we get a new black rope? He said, what do you need a new black rope for? The one we've got is perfect. She said, it's not HYROX. He said, it's the same as what they use at HYROX. She said, it doesn't have the logo on it. It needs to be HYROX for it to be commercially attractive to our prospects. He's like, no, we're not getting a new one. I'll buy you a sticker to stick on it. But I guess that's kind of where we've got to now, is that people, they go, well, I've got to have the official HYROX wall ball, or I've got to have the rope, or I've got to have that turf, isn't it? It's just part of the brand that they've done so good that obviously helps center enormously.
Yeah, for sure. When I met up with Christian in 23, what we together decided we wanted to do was to make every element of the HYROX competition recognizable, both tactily and visually, and from a performance standpoint. And so we focused on the whole race through that lens. When we designed the equipment, it was to make it visually recognizable. You knew that this was your sports kettlebell or your sports bumper plate or your sports sled. From a performance standpoint, the sled, the friction coefficient on the sled with the turf was all very intentional to make a very specific and consistent friction rate around the world. The way the kettlebells were designed was to increase the performance in the farmer's carry, but still be usable in the gym in any kettlebell movement. So the intent on all of it was to firmly establish this is a sport with its own gear. And that sport is HYROX. It is fitness racing. So that if you're an athlete training for this sport, then train with the gear that's used in the sport. That, we believe, is what's helping people shave time off their scores, which means they're going to keep going back to the gym to keep getting better. And it's a part of that loop. We have this view of, it's really this notion of building a race-ready environment that makes authentic HYROX training possible. Be race ready. Train like you race.
I love it. Because like if I do triathlons, I've got the bike and I've got the running shoes and I've got the clothing to be able to be a triathlete. I've found today's conversation fascinating because I've learned a lot about HYROX that I never really thought about. And I'm wondering if owners listening today are thinking the same thing, that, okay, I get it now. It's a sport. My gym is the practice field. It gives a reason for people to work out. There's a measurement. Generally, they've already booked for their next training session or their next competition. So then they're going to come back and this is now going to roll and roll and roll. And they will internally get competitive to shave seconds off their time. I've learned so much today that I never even considered about HYROX. And obviously, Center, I'm guessing you'll hold an owner's hand all the way through that process in order to be that affiliate facility.
Absolutely. People can reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can reach out, get you connected with somebody that will hold your hand through the process and make sure this is as smooth as possible to get any operator that wants to engage into that HYROX loop, because it's an exciting loop to be on.
And I was going to ask you to finish, what's your number one tip for owners to get their head around how or why they would do HYROX? You've already given that because you said you need to go and watch an event. So what's your number two? What's your second tip for an owner to kind of move?
Go compete in the event. That'd be the second. Go watch the event and then compete in the event. Because when you compete in the event, you're now seeing it from the other side, which is this is what your gym goers are doing every day they come in to train, is to do that. And that notion that when you finish racing, 95% of HYROX athletes want to race again, being able to experience that, being a part of that 95%, I think makes it really clear where you're like, I know why this is a sport. I know why this is addictive. I get it. So I would say Step one, go be a spectator. Go see it. Go experience the energy, the vibe. Step two, if you can, go compete. And by the way, HYROX is built for everybody. It's really not, in a lot of ways, CrossFit was exclusive in a way to people that weren't extraordinarily fit. HYROX is really built for everybody to participate. And so you can participate in a relay, a 4-person relay. You can participate in doubles. You can participate as a singles. There's a lot of ways to get involved in the feeling of competition. If it feels scary, it shouldn't feel scary. It's fun, it's exciting, and you get to choose your own adventure, whichever one it is. Relay, doubles, singles, men, women, co-ed. There's all sorts of avenues to get involved.
We have a Rex member here in Australia, and I won't give Cindy's age away, but she has a whole cohort now of members, as well as members' friends who aren't even members of their gym, who are in their little HYROX community, and every single one of those women are over the age of 55.
Yep. Well, right here, I'm at that 55 age cut. So
that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah. By the way, I realized somebody told me at the HYROX Coaches Summit 2 weeks ago, they're like, oh, you're in the Masters group. I was like, wait, what are you talking about? What do you mean I'm in the Masters group? They're like, yeah, you're like a Masters athlete. At first I was offended. I was like, wait, no, like I'm young. And then I was like, oh man, maybe you're right. I am in this Masters age category. So now I'm accepting it. I'm in the Masters age segment and I'm good with that. I'm representing, but you're right. Like at the HYROX World Championships in Nice 2 years ago, I saw 2 grandmothers cross the finish line that were, I think, in the 75 to 80-year-old bracket. And I was just like, oh my God, that is amazing. That is amazing. Well, how great and how cool is that they together achieve that, making them the world champions for 75 to 80-year-old female at that age. It's incredible. It sort of, kind of makes your hair stand on end when you just think about it.
I think on that note, we should pay homage to those grandmas and thank Andrew so much for joining us today. This is a fascinating conversation that's opened, I hope, everybody listening, your eyes to the opportunity that's out there for you to commercially make money from HYROX using Center's equipment. It's so exciting. And I talked up front in the show, Andrew, just the growth that there is. But I think I read somewhere that in the 25-26 season, there's 100 events with an expected 1.3 million participants. So you are going to have your work cut out supplying equipment to all these affiliates.
We will, but it's fun. We love the conversations. We love telling people about how to get involved. And that 1.3 million is only going to go one direction. That number will cross 2 million faster than anyone knows.
Mate, thank you so much and good luck in Cologne.
Thank you, JT. I appreciate the podcast. I appreciate everything you do with Rex. It's all amazing. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, mate.
Hello, Dan Duran here, Vice President of Lionel Global University. I am also the chairman of the Rex Roundtable's Personal Training Roundtable. For all my contact details, Lionel University delivers health and fitness education and degrees for entry-level roles all the way to executive leadership. We were founded as ISSA in 1988 by Dr. Fred Hatfield and Dr. Sal Loria. Lionel University is actually a rebrand for the ISSA College of Exercise Science, which was opened 15 years ago. We offer accredited education from certificate programs through the master's degree, which includes a track on fitness, operations, and leadership. Our credentials never expire. That's right, just like your own college degree, our certified personal trainer course and all of our specializations come without an expiration date because they are accredited by the DEAC. At this point, it may be confusing because you're wondering if your team member has to be a Lionel College student to get these certifications and specializations, and the answer is no. We create a branded learning dashboard for your team, and the courses are taken at their own speed and online. The difference with us is if they decide to pursue a college degree at Lionel, they can transfer those accredited courses in as college credits, so they're already on their way. Okay, here's the most important part. Our Rex Preferred Academic Partner offering is the custom dashboard branded for your club with full admin rights for tracking at no charge. And a very, very highly discounted but quality accredited education that never expires. You also receive university student placement, the opportunity to host and hire interns, and several annual scholarship opportunities for your staff. And you pick the winners. As a fitness leader myself, I can tell you this, it's a no-brainer. If you made it this far, thank you for listening all the way to the end, and I hope we can connect soon.
Thanks, Dan. And Lionel University is not the only Rex trusted supplier I recommend you check out this week. Here are several others. For our US people, World Insurance Associates provide insurance, risk management, benefits, and wealth management services. Globally, MXM provides software for fitness clubs to manage member experience. Matrix Fitness manufactures and sells commercial and home gym fitness equipment. Yanga Sports Water provides subscription-based, flavoured, vitamin-enriched and calorie-free water for your gyms. And of course, Centre. They're the ones that provide all the equipment for HYROX, and they can help you develop your own HYROX studio or training area inside your club. All of those suppliers, we want to say thank you for supporting us at the podcast and making our industry better. You can see all of their websites on this week's show notes, which you'll find on your podcast player. So check them out. Now, if you enjoy what we cover here on the Fitness Business Podcast and you want to go deeper, into the business side of fitness, then you should come and join us inside the FBP Insiders. That's where we share exclusive webinars, extra value from our partners, and deeper conversations designed for people serious about running better fitness businesses. Head to the landing page and start your 7-day free trial today. You'll find that landing page in today's show notes. Now, next episode, we have Billy Hocker from Fit Profit Solutions, and we will answer this question. What's the first step a business owner should take if they want to feel more in control of their money? Plus, of course, many more questions about money and finances when we're running our business. So as I wrap up, I'd be grateful, super grateful in fact, if you share this particular episode with anyone you think could benefit from learning about building on the sales funnel that HYROX are building for you. And you all know our sign off, so why not join me? What we leave behind is not set in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.